And I remember I had to go like that, and it was perfect match. Wait.
She was found lying on the bathroom floor, barefoot, breathless, still. It was the 20th of December, 2009, just 5 days before Christmas, when Brittany Murphy's body collapsed inside her own Hollywood Hills home. She was only 32. The official report said pneumonia, anemia, and prescription drugs, but the story never added up. Why did she fall sick so suddenly? Why was there no autopsy request from her husband? And why, just 5 months later, did that same husband, Simon Monjack, die in the same house, from the exact same cause? That home had no signs of forced entry, no sign of overdose, but hidden inside the walls, according to reports later uncovered, was something far more terrifying: mold. And not just any mold, but black toxic spores, the kind that silently invades the lungs and slowly poisons the body. Brittany had reportedly been coughing for weeks. Still, her death was ruled accidental. Case closed. Move on. But those who knew her, really knew her, weren't convinced. Because the Brittany Murphy they remembered wasn't weak. She wasn't fading. She was fighting. She had just signed on to new film projects. She was planning a comeback. She had dreams and secrets that only one person knew, and he's gone too. So what really happened in that house? And why did the people closest to her stay so quiet for so long? The truth behind Brittany Murphy's death isn't just tragic. It's buried beneath rumors, silence, and a case that Hollywood wanted to forget. 2. El Lever. But the truth behind it is much darker. Brittany Ann Bertolotti was born on the 10th of November, 1977 in Atlanta, Georgia. She would later become known to the world as Brittany Murphy. But before the fame, before the heartbreak, there was just a little girl, bright-eyed, sensitive, and desperate to be loved. Her father, Angelo Bertolotti, was rarely around. He was in and out of prison for organized crime and drug offenses. Her parents divorced when she was just 2 years old, and from that point on, it was Brittany and her mother, Sharon, alone against the world. They moved to Edison, New Jersey, where money was tight, but Brittany's imagination ran wild. She wasn't just dramatic, she was electric. She'd put on full performances in the living room, talk to herself like she was on camera. At school, teachers said she had too much energy, but Sharon saw something else: raw, untapped brilliance. At age 4, Brittany declared she wanted to be an actress. By age 8, she was already enrolled in acting, dancing, and singing classes. Sharon took on multiple jobs just to afford tuition, even driving her hours across states for auditions. They were inseparable, mother and daughter, chasing a dream. But behind that dream was a childhood with no real home. They moved constantly from Jersey to LA, from apartment to apartment, living on the edge of eviction more than once. Brittany later said, "I've been poor. I know what it means to hustle, to need something so bad you can't sleep." When she was 13, they settled in Burbank, California. Brittany didn't wait. She went straight into auditions, memorized pages of dialogue overnight, and did it all with a smile so wide it almost distracted you from the exhaustion behind her eyes. Her big break came at 14, when she landed a recurring role on the television series Drexel's Class. From there, she never stopped. Sitcom after sitcom, commercial after commercial. And by 17, she was cast in the role that would define a generation, Ty in Clueless. But even in those early days, something was already forming beneath the surface. Directors noticed she was too eager to please. She would overwork, oversmile, overperform, always afraid the next audition might be her last. She wanted so badly to be seen. But Hollywood doesn't love like a mother. It watches, it takes, and then it asks for more. In 1995, Clueless hit theaters, and Brittany Murphy became a name you couldn't ignore. As Ty Frazier, she was awkward, wide-eyed, and instantly lovable. The character was meant to be the before in a makeover story, but something unexpected happened. Audiences fell in love with the before. It wasn't just acting. Brittany was Ty, vulnerable, earnest, real. Overnight, Brittany went from teen sitcom guest star to Hollywood's quirky darling. Studios came calling, her roles expanded, and so did her range. In Girl Interrupted, she held her own next to Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder, playing a troubled young woman with a porcelain smile and a collapsing soul. In 8 Mile, she transformed into the street-smart Alex, opposite Eminem, raw, hungry, desperate to survive. The Academy didn't call, but audiences did, again and again. She was electric on screen, unpredictable. You couldn't pin her down, and that made her irresistible. But behind the camera, things were changing. As her fame rose, so did the pressure to look the part. Executives told her she wasn't leading lady material, not blonde enough, not thin enough, not right enough. So, she adapted. Her weight dropped, her hair changed, her voice once strong and rich became softer, breathier, engineered. Her once curvy figure was replaced by sharp angles. She said it was for the roles, but friends said it was for survival. She never stopped working. Between 2000 and 2006, Brittany appeared in more than 20 films. Don't Say a Word, Just Married, Uptown Girls, Little Black Book, balancing comedies, thrillers, dramas, voiceovers. She even became the voice of Luann on King of the Hill, adding warmth and humor to every line. But with each performance, there was a sense that Brittany was running, not toward something, but from something. She once said in an interview, "I've always felt like the outsider trying to get invited in, and even when I'm in, I still feel like I'm outside." She laughed when she said it, but it didn't sound funny. The cameras saw a star, but Brittany saw herself in fragments, never quite enough, always one role away from being forgotten. By 2007, her films were getting smaller. Her name was slipping lower on the posters. And behind the scenes, someone else had stepped into her spotlight. A man named Simon Monjack, but the world didn't notice him, not yet. When Brittany met Simon Monjack, most people didn't even know his name. He was a screenwriter, sort of, a director allegedly, British, charming, elusive, older, controlling. To the outside world, he was a mystery. To Brittany, he became everything. They married in 2007, in secret, no engagement, no announcement, just a sudden change in her world and a new man at its center. From that moment on, everything shifted. Friends noticed she stopped calling. Her team was replaced. Her mother, once her anchor, was now living in the same house, but seemed strangely absent. Simon made decisions. Simon handled her career. Simon booked interviews. Simon canceled them. And Brittany, once so bubbly and social, became quiet, withdrawn, pale. Her weight plummeted. Her face looked tired, hollow. Rumors exploded: eating disorders, drug abuse, paranoia. But Brittany always denied it. In interviews, her voice shook, but she smiled through it all. "I'm just fine," she'd say. "I'm happy. I'm working. Life is good." But she wasn't working. In fact, roles were drying up. She was fired from Happy Feet, too, over creative differences. Producers whispered about on-set instability, missed call times, Simon showing up and interfering. There were also whispers of pills, prescription cocktails that blurred the lines between day and night. A former makeup artist claimed her lips turned blue on set. A co-star described her as fading in real time. In 2009, Brittany and Simon flew to Puerto Rico to film The Caller. But within days, she was let go. Officially, it was production changes. Unofficially, she was too weak, couldn't focus, looked sick. Simon got sick too. They both flew home early. And by the time they landed back in Los Angeles, Brittany's health was already spiraling. According to Sharon Murphy, Brittany was battling flu-like symptoms, coughing, dizziness, chills, but she refused to go to the hospital. Simon told her to rest, to take her vitamins, to stay inside. She did, for weeks. Inside that house, with mold behind the walls and fear behind the silence, Brittany stayed in bed, fighting something far bigger than a virus. Whatever it was closing in. And by the time anyone realized how bad it was too late. The morning of the 20th of December, 2009, began like any other. Brittany woke up early. She was coughing again hard, relentless. She told her mother she felt dizzy, that she was going to take a shower. Minutes passed, then more, and then silence. Sharon Murphy knocked on the bathroom door. No answer. She opened it and saw her daughter collapsed on the floor, barefoot, curled, motionless. Paramedics arrived. Simon stood nearby, confused, panicked. Sharon wept. They tried to revive her, again and again. At 10:04 a.m., Brittany Murphy was pronounced dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She was 32, The world went still. Headlines flooded in. Clueless star dies suddenly. Mystery surrounds Brittany Murphy's death. The cause? Pneumonia, severe anemia, multiple drug intoxication, but all legal prescription only. No hard drugs, no alcohol, just the perfect storm of fragility. But something felt wrong. Why didn't she go to the hospital sooner? Why did Simon refuse an autopsy at first? And why did her health deteriorate so rapidly alone, unseen, inside a house she never left? Then, the unthinkable happened. Just 5 months later, on May 23, 2010, Simon Monjack was found dead in the exact same home. Same symptoms, same bathroom, same cause of death, pneumonia and anemia. What are the odds? Authorities blamed coincidence. Mold was considered, then dismissed. Sharon, who lived in the house the entire time, survived. Questions spiraled. Some said Simon had isolated Brittany, blocked her from medical help, manipulated her into submission. Others claimed Brittany had grown paranoid, afraid of paparazzi, the press, even the government. There were whispers of poisoning, of foul play, but nothing ever stuck. Nothing ever went to trial. No arrests, no charges, just 2 bodies, 2 funerals, and 1 haunting silence. The last film she made, Something Wicked, was released posthumously. Her performance, once filled with light, now felt like a farewell. In the final scene, she looks off-screen and says, almost too softly, "We never really know what people carry with them." And she was right. What Brittany carried in her heart, in her lungs, in her final hours, may never fully be known. But it was heavy enough to kill her. In Hollywood, stars fade all the time, but Brittany Murphy didn't fade. She disappeared suddenly, violently, and without explanation that ever truly satisfied the people who loved her. For her fans, she remains a memory vibrant, funny, soft-spoken, full of life, a voice like honey, a smile like static, gone too soon, in ways that still don't make sense. For those who knew her, the pain runs deeper. Her mother, Sharon, once said, "They portrayed her as broken. She wasn't, she was light, she was love." But love wasn't enough to protect her. The industry she gave everything to didn't show up when she needed it most. It watched from the headlines, wrote her off as fragile, as unstable, and then it moved on. There was no public reckoning, no reopened case, just whispers and silence. Years later, the house where she died was sold and remodeled. All traces of her scrubbed clean. But even in death, Brittany Murphy leaves behind a question that won't go away. Did we ever really know her? Or were we only ever watching a performance? She wasn't just a tragic headline. She was a girl who wanted to be seen. And maybe now, finally, we're starting to look.